You know, from time to time, I'll try and help someone online, behind the scenes, our Facebook, social media, etc. And you read some stories that make you want to cry when you read them. So I'll get in touch with the people and say, look, I'm not going to charge. I'll work with your doctor, but I think I can help. Well, it turns out in New Jersey, they're probably watching right now. In New Jersey, there is a family with an 11-year-old girl who has horrible asthma. And the little girl's been in the hospital several times. And look, if I were a doctor, I would do the same thing these doctors do. They load you up with cortisone because that stops the inflammation, then she can go home a few days later. But what a horrible way to live a life, to not be able to breathe, right, with asthma. And so I said to the mother, look, talk to the doctor about an antifungal. So she called the doctor, and the doctor said, no, this isn't a fungus. Folks, today we're going to expound on that. So many of us have COPD and asthma and cystic fibrosis and all sorts of breathing problems. I think we need to dwell on that a little bit because there was a very good paper out a couple of years ago that says every asthma patient should be on antifungals. Don't go away. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me and a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. The year 2013 was a big year in medicine, folks. It started with a journal called The Lung, L-U-N-G. Can you imagine that journal? Lung is a scientific journal for pulmonologists, lung doctors, etc., family doctors to read. In it was reported 27 patients who had been diagnosed radiologically, that means with x-ray and exam, doctors had looked down their lungs, and they all had cancer, right? Lung cancer. Sad, sad disease, but they told the people they all had lung cancer. Further studies at some time later, and I'm sure the hospital got a medical mycologist. This is a PhD who understands fungus. Further studies showed that all 27 had aspergillomas, fungal balls. These are fungi that grow in balls that mimic cancer, growing in their lungs, right? And this aspergillus fungus emits a poisonous substance, so it would look, patients are not thriving, they're weak, they're losing weight, they're miserable. All 27 went on antifungal drugs, and you know the rest of the story if you watch Know the Cause. All 27 are alive today thanks to an astute medical oncologist, I would assume, or medical mycologist, intervening. Now, I wonder how many people in America are diagnosed with lung cancer who actually live in a moldy home with aspergillosis, and they're breathing this stuff, and the doctor is just saying, oh, that's cancer. Start on chemo today. Sign right up. Sign for 5 of them. You know, just the hustle. You remember that song? Why is it in medicine that we are hustled so quickly to get, oh, that's the worst lump I've ever seen. Get to the doctor. Wait a minute. Has it been growing 15 years? Can I put the brakes on and talk to my husband, talk to my pastor, talk to my friends about what no, you got to get, that's the worst one I've ever. What's going on in medicine today, folks? Just slow down, put the brakes on. 2013 was also a year this study came out. Nearly 5 million asthmatics worldwide could benefit from antifungal therapy. Now, this goes on to say that about 200 million people worldwide. Okay, figure this. That's 2/3 of the population of America. It's about 300 million people here. So cover all the planes, right? 2/3 of the population of America has asthma. Now, that's worldwide, so that's everywhere. That's a lot of people. And they're saying, they're saying 5 million. I don't know, 4 or 5 million of them might get better. If one of them got better with antifungal drugs, folks, they're finding the same aspergillus mold in the lungs of these people. Thank God this was written in a medical mycology journal. By the way, no physician reads medical oncology. Medical mycology. They read medical oncology, which is cancer. They don't read medical mycology, which is fungus. Because they learned in medical school, fungus doesn't cause any problems, but bacteria does. Oh, and virus does. I see a little vaginal yeast, little jock itch, little ringworm, but yeast doesn't cause any problem. This medical journal publishes around the same time Lung published, those 27 people didn't really have cancer, and they're saying 5 million people worldwide probably don't have asthma. So when I asked my new best friend in New Jersey to call the doctor and say, look, could we try a little Nizoral? Could we try a little diflucan, which is a prescriptive antifungal that kills fungus in the lungs or anywhere in the bloodstream? You can imagine my shock when the doctor said very abruptly, like most of them do, folks are busy people. They don't mean to be rude. They're busy, busy people. And they have a lot of lives in the balance, right? The doctor would shoot back, nope, this isn't fungus. How do you know, doc? She lives in New Jersey, maybe a basement. How do you know that home isn't just loaded with mold? And folks, I want to bypass all of that right now and go directly to you. That's what your doctor would say. We've got to be prudent medical consumers, and we're not. You watch the ads on TV. So this problem will happen, this problem will happen, and it's common to have these problems happen. You'll get dizzy and so forth. And many people have gone on to get kidney cancer with this drug. Talk to your doctor and you hear the nice soft, and we're doing it. Man, we're talking to our doctor. Doctor, I've been wanting to go on this drug for incontinence. What's the cause of the incontinence? What's the cause of the asthma? It's not a deficiency of steroids, it's mold. As a matter of fact, steroids and antibiotics tend to fuel mold growth. So we've got to start thinking through in all of these cases. Look, this was published in a very respected journal 2.5 years ago. The medical community, the pulmonologists in America, oh, I don't think that's a fungal problem at all. What if it is, doc? What if you could save an 11-year-old girl's life by putting her on diflucan? Don't go away, more of Know the Cause to come today. Oh, look at her, my new best friend. Christine Salter is a medical doctor, board certified in family practice, chiropractor, a naturopathic doctor, and I could go on and on and on. More degrees than a thermometer. Thank you for coming in today and being with us. We've had the opportunity to talk. A patient of hers kept prying and prying and prying and saying, you got to watch this guy on TV, you got to know the cause. A few years ago, she finally did that. Now she's saying a lot of what I see is fungus. So here's where I'd like to steer this segment, Dr. Salter. Number one, thank you for honoring this audience and being here today. You have told me your practice is so different than when you graduated from medical school and had to see, 10 people an hour, and that's freed you up to really study medicine.
Yes.
What have you found?
Well, just in the last, year, 18 months, that a lot of patients have yeast overgrowth and fungal infections, either from what they're eating or environmentally, live in a sick building, either at home or at work. And so I'm seeing chronic inflammation, I'm seeing chronic fatigue, chronic sinus issues, gastrointestinal issues, just all kinds of issues that are responding to an antifungal approach.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really exciting.
That's exciting by itself. What gives you the time now, whereas you had to see a patient every 10 minutes or so, how do you have the time now to sit down with a patient, talk about a diet and nystatin and fungus? Where is the time?
Well, in 2009, I transitioned to a concierge practice.
And what does that mean?
So it means different things to different people, but in my practice, it means that, number one, I'm partnering with the patient. Wow. Number two, I'm taking the time and I'm really looking for the cause.
Wow.
So, our mantra is restoring health at the cellular level, one person at a time. So we really try to delve in to find out what's going on with that person, what's causing their distress or whatever they have, going on. Mm-hmm. So I transitioned to that concierge approach, and which allows me now to take time to evaluate the patient, and I can spend an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours with a patient after they've actually done an evaluation, and then I'm able to do a nice exam, a holistic exam, and then really take the time to educate them about what's going on and what they need to do to move forward.
Wow. Let me cut to the chase, folks. So many people ask me, everywhere I go, I'm lecturing again this weekend, 3 people come up and say to me, how do I find a doctor like Dr. Salter? You got to write a check, okay? Your insurance card, I don't believe, is going to ultimately find you that doctor, because that doctor must see 35 patients a day. He or she, this is a science. The study of mycology is a science. Dr. Salter found it. It is a valid science, and most patients, I believe, have this, but it's hiding under many, many layers of illness. Diabetes, we induce it in mice by giving them a mycotoxin. Cancer, we induce it in bunny rabbits by giving them aflatoxin, which is made and is often on corn. It's made by fungus, and it's often on corn and peanuts. So you said something to me this morning that really got me interested, a diet diary. When I began working in this field in the 1970s, I had people fill out a 3-day, what I want you to do when you come in is show me what you're eating.
Exactly, exactly. What we eat, how we live, is what creates health at the cellular level. It's basically how we eat, what we eat, how we move, how we think. That's what creates health or disease at the cellular level. So that is fundamentally important. I mean, you can give a drug or a supplement, but if you're going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're doing chips and soda as your your beverage of choice, right?
Two food groups,
and
right?
your vegetables, then what we call the biological terrain or the soil that the body lives in, that the cells live in, it's unhealthy soil. Yeah. So we have to change those at a fundamental level.
Yeah, I've said this often, how I wish my insurance card would find me a physician who would give me diflucan and nystatin. I really haven't, and I'm Doug Kaufman, and I haven't found that happening. Oh, any doctor will take my insurance card and quickly give me a drug and say goodbye. Who analyzes your diet? Who looks at the terrain? That's what Dr. Salter does. Thank you so much for coming in today. I think 100 years from now, they'll all be like you. I grabbed a bite on vacation the other day, and the woman said, "Would you like a white potato?" "No, I don't eat those." "Would you like a sweet potato?" Folks, I love sweet potatoes, but particularly when we're in the kitchen and Lindsay makes them and they're garlic roasted. Watch this.
Hey, welcome back to Know the Cause. I'm Lindsay Crouch from Guiltless Foods. I love being here with Doug and the crew, and especially with you. Today we're going to show you how to do a roasted sweet potato, onion, and garlic vegetable side dish. We're going to caramelize up these amazing root vegetables and kind of sweeten them out, bring out some of their natural good flavors. We're just going to do a nice kind of hearty cut. It's almost going to be like a chunk size. You don't need to get it too fine because after we roast them, it's going to soften them up. And as we go, we're just going to throw them right in the pan. Now, sweet potatoes are loaded with beta carotene, especially if you put a good healthy fat on them, like an olive oil, or you could even use a coconut oil, butter, whatever you like. We're going to use olive oil today. But when you put that good healthy fat on them, it brings out that extra beta carotene and is actually going to immune boost your system, give you vitamin A and vitamin B. You can literally eat your way into good health, as you know from all of Doug's amazing education. Now, these are some really big garlic cloves. I'm going to have to beat it up. I might put it under my boot and give it a big stomp. My goodness. Just slice all the way down and then go this way. I do want the garlic to be a little smaller in size comparison to my sweet potato and onion because you just don't want too huge of a bite of garlic. Okay, then we have a Vidalia sweet onion here. I'm just going to slice this in half. Take off the end. Peel the skin back. Leave that root intact, which makes chopping a lot easier. Slice it downward. You can see its natural lines and crevices to do this. Okay, and then go this way about 4 times. And then just sprinkle it in here. If you have a larger roasting pan or a casserole dish, you can, use, say, 4 sweet potatoes and 2 onions and 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. Go ahead and make a big recipe at a time. This freezes really well. You can stick this in the fridge or freezer and it'll last, up to a week in the fridge probably, and, a month or so, if not longer, in the freezer. I'm going to drizzle this with olive oil. Just right in the pan here. Get my hair out of the way. A little sea salt and pepper. A little tossing to coat. Make sure everything gets that good olive oil on there. We're gonna roast this at about 375 for about 30 minutes. Make sure everything is tender to the fork. Then you can just pierce it, place it in your oven. And in magic time, looky there. Sweet potatoes with onions and garlic, roasted to perfection. It's nice and sweet and caramelized, and all these flavors, if you think about it, work so well together. This is a phase 2 recipe because there is a little bit more sugar and starch in your sweet potatoes, right? I love that. That's like, I don't know, that's everything to me. It's sweet, it's hearty, it's filling. I just can't get enough. I could eat this all day long. I hope you love this recipe. Go to knowthecause.com for this recipe and more. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
How many of us have seen that ad on television that says, "Help, I've fallen down and I can't get back up again"? We're not here to teach you how to fall down. We're here to teach you what you need to do to learn how to get back up again. It's all muscle, it's all strengthening your body. Exercise does so many things. Physical activity not only helps control your blood pressure and lower your blood sugar, it also helps you manage your weight, strengthen your heart, and even manage your cholesterol. A healthy weight, a strong heart, and general emotional health are all good, as is good blood pressure and good cholesterol levels. Remember, physical activity isn't limited to just lifting weights or doing squats. In the news just recently there came an article, does fungus cause Alzheimer's? So we went to our bank of questions that you have, and Daniel asked this: what does fungus have to do with Alzheimer's disease? Number one, a devastating disease. It is not in my family, but I worked with some people who had it when I worked here at Medical City Dallas in Dallas, Texas. And you know what I did, folks? We didn't know what to do for these people, but their kids, their children, often these people were institutionalized in Alzheimer's housing. Their children had done so well on my program, antifungal. This one woman said to me, my dad has Alzheimer's, and I'm thinking maybe he's got yeast in the brain. I don't know, Doug. And so we talked to the doctor over at one of these, this 1980s. He said, what can it hurt? We'll put him on a little nice statin. What's your diet? I sent him my diet. And I got to tell you, folks, I knew in the 1980s, there was a fungal component to Alzheimer's. Those of you who follow my work online here know that in 2013 and again in 2014, I blogged, and you can see it on my website, on Alzheimer's and fungus. And now here's a big study. Well, that's the problem. They say this isn't a big study, only 21 patients, but this is solid science. Let me tell you what they did. 21 people died, their cadavers. 11 of them died of Alzheimer's. 10 of them did not. So they studied the brains and the blood vessels of those 11 who died of Alzheimer's. And guess what they found in all 11? Right, fungus. Isn't that 100%? Well, not if these 10 also had it. They did the studies, same tissue studies of these. None of them had it. Folks, we're on to something huge here. Let me take this one step further. I'll tease you a little bit. They're now saying a drug that works for leukemia. It's a tyrosine kinase inhibitor drug, is also working for Parkinson's. Well, you look up tyrosine kinase inhibitors and they have powerful antifungal properties. I'm going off on this a little bit. Neurodegenerative diseases, number one, Alzheimer's. I think number two is Parkinson's. But so I wrote this blog that any of you, Daniel, you can go ahead and look at it, but here's what I need to tell you, because This was my emphasis in the blog. Do we wait? Should we wait another 20 years until these scientists, oh, yeah, okay, let's go ahead and get $2 million from someone and study Alzheimer's? Should we wait? Or do you have the same option that I had 25 years ago at a hospital out here? Do you have a doctor that'll say, hey, what's it going to hurt? Look, I'll go off brand with diflucan. It's the 1-pill vaginal yeast medicine. It's for AIDS patients, but I'll write it for you. Let's just see if in 2 weeks you're better. And if you are, I don't want to keep giving it to you, but that's okay, doc, because there's so many things. Cinnamon, in one study, was found to be as potent against fungus as diflucan. So there's so many things in a health food store that we can get. Start with a diet, a phase 1 diet. This is if Doug had Alzheimer's, if Doug's mom or dad or brother or sister had Alzheimer's, what would I do? I think these guys are right. I think fungus plays a role in Alzheimer's and most neurodegenerative diseases, okay? Parkinson's also. But don't wait for 20 years, folks. Don't see your loved ones go through this. What's it gonna hurt to try diflucan for a couple of weeks? What's it gonna hurt to try my phase 1 diet for a couple of weeks? No, you will not have cured the Alzheimer's, but you're going to see someone coming to life neurologically. You're probably going to see them remembering things like they haven't in the past. Then it becomes a time when you sit down with that prescribing physician and say, could I get a couple more weeks or a couple of months of this? Sure, if I can take their blood and make sure their liver is doing okay, you can do that. Could I keep them on this diet? They really seem to be pulling out of this. You've had Alzheimer's. That patient has had Alzheimer's for many years. To think that 2 weeks is going to make a difference, it makes a tiny difference, folks. Let's hope in 2 months it's a big difference. Don't go away.
The recognition of pyrrole disorder has become an integral part of my clinical practice, particularly the intimate connection between pyrrole disorder and chronic yeast infections. Pyrroles are useless byproducts of hemoglobin synthesis. Some people genetically make too many pyrroles. Excessive pyrroles are excreted in the urine. The problem is that when they're excreted, they take out zinc and vitamin B6 with them. This means that people with pyrrole disorder become profoundly depleted in zinc and vitamin B6. Zinc, of course, is vitally important for the immune system, skin health, healthy hair, and testosterone production. But together with vitamin B6, they are cofactors for the production of the neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. This means that people with pyrrole disorder can become depressed, anxious, fearful, and suffer mood swings. I see pyrrole disorder in many children with behavioral disorders. Zinc and B6 are also required for the production of metallothioneins in the body. Metallothioneins are how we excrete heavy metals from our bodies. So people with pyrrole disorder accumulate heavy metals, particularly copper and mercury. High levels of copper predisposed to yeast infections, cause hormone imbalances, particularly PMS, postpartum depression, and endometriosis. Copper also makes new blood vessels grow, increasing the risk of cancer. Pyrrole disorder leads to low zinc and high copper, which predispose to yeast infections and cancer. Is it just me, or is there a pattern there?
Your doctor could be Dr. Salter. Just like today, here was a doctor whose patient convinced her to finally watch Know the Cause. Now she's a good friend of mine, and we communicate often about antifungal approaches. Your doctor could be just like that, folks, and it's your persistence that might get it done. By the way, did you know we have a YouTube channel? You can click on it, like us, by the way, like us on our Facebook and on our website and so forth. We really appreciate you being with us. We can't tell you how much we enjoy bringing you this information. There isn't another TV show out there that's going to talk exclusively about mold, mildew, fungus, good nutrition, good supplements, and how to stay well so at my age, you don't run from doctor to doctor to doctor. God bless. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.